Xbox Game Pass is bringing us the goods this October, as this month is absolutely stacked with some insane titles and even some first-party bangers. Even with the disastrous price increases and all the negative news, we're still getting some great games coming our way, with hopefully more bangers being revealed very soon. With that though, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's dive into the Xbox Game Pass games coming our way for the next couple of weeks. Well, as was accidentally hinted a few weeks ago now, Supermarket Simulator is finally making its way to Xbox Game Pass as of today, and it will be available as part of the Ultimate, Premium, and also PC Game Pass tiers. This title has actually been a very huge success over on Steam, where it has a very positive score based on almost 30,000 user ratings, and it essentially requires you to stock shelves, set prices, hire staff, deal with shoplifters, and so much more. Of course, it is the day-to-day running of a supermarket, but strangely, it seems really popular. Supermarket Simulator will also be available as part of the Xbox Cloud Gaming element, which means you'll be able to stream it even if you're part of the Ultimate and Premium plans. Honestly, I still really don't understand the massive hype when it comes to simulator experiences, but I might have to dive into this one and give it a go. Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Editions were already available on our Xbox consoles with Xbox Game Pass. However, the games are now coming to all subscribers over on PC. There are over 100 hours of adventure in both of these enhanced editions of Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, and I know many really do hold these in pretty high regard. Despite its age though, the game is still worth your time. Of course, it will kick your ass as these ones are much harder than the third installment, but other than that, they're still fantastic RPGs to this day. Just in time for Halloween and that spooky season, we have an absolutely fright-inducing game that's coming to Xbox Game Pass, and it's called The Casting of Frank Stone. This is a brand new horror experience that's set in the terrifying world of Dead by Daylight, and it looks to blend cinematic storytelling with some very intense choice-driven gameplay. Essentially, that means every decision you make can change the lives of who lives and who doesn't. It is set in the eerie town of Cedar Hills, and you'll uncover the twisted legacy of Frank Stone, who's a murderer whose brutal crimes have left a curse hanging over the entire town. You can of course expect branching paths, tough moral choices, and even plenty of unsettling moments. This one looks like a gripping mix of narrative horror and player agency, and is one that really is perfect for this Halloween. Ball X Pit really is shaping up to be one of the best indie time sinks that we'll definitely get lost in. As you can see from the gameplay on screen, it looks to mix several genres into one roguelike experience, so classic brick-breaking chaos, explosive number spam straight out of Vampire Survivors, base building, and also survival elements all rolled together. Essentially, each run has you upgrading and experimenting with over 60 randomized balls and more than 70 unique buildings in New Babylon, with each of them offering fresh bonuses and also power-ups. Best of all, Ball X Pit will hit Xbox Game Pass on day one, and I will have my full review up ready before its launch date. I do highly recommend you don't sleep on this brand new indie, and it's certainly worth checking out when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. It might feel a bit too early for Christmas, but the holiday vibes are already hitting gaming with the Grinch Christmas Adventures Merry and Mischievous Edition, and it will be landing onto Xbox Game Pass as of the 15th of October. This brand new edition though will bring us back to Dr. Seuss's world, where the Grinch will snowboard down Mount Crumpet, slay through some snowy forest, and parachute straight back into Whoville for some fresh missions. With stuff like jetpacks, Santa suits, and new areas to explore, this update looks to add a ton of extra rewards and plenty of fun for all of you younger players. Christmas arriving as early still feels pretty weird, but again, it's quite a nice addition for when the holiday season really does build up. PAX Die is a new and expansive social sandbox MMO that's due to be launched on the 16th of October, after it was initially released in early access over on Steam back in June 2024. Of course, that means it's now releasing into 1.0 over on Steam, but there's a treat in store for Xbox Game Pass subscribers, as it will be landing onto the service on its very same day. Per the developers though, PAX Die is essentially a vast social sandbox MMO that's inspired by legends of the medieval era. You'll be able to join thousands of players as you'll be exploring the different lands, building your home, forging your own reputation, and crafting your own stories. So far, it does look pretty interesting from what I've seen, and I'm really looking forward to trying out this game when it hits PC Game Pass this October. It's almost time for Double Fine to provide us with their next masterpiece, and if I'm honest, Keeper is actually my most anticipated game this month outside of Battlefield 6. This game is taking a really daring approach though to its gameplay design by essentially including no dialogue and no spoken words. Instead, this game is actually centered solely around atmosphere, puzzles, and exploration. It kind of reminds me of a game called Jasont. If you remember, that game was also on Game Pass, and it told its world through environment and atmosphere, and I bloody loved it. You'll basically have to guide a sentient lighthouse on on legs, trekking across surreal painterly landscapes with your bird companion. Really, it's honestly so weird, it's incredibly bold, and it's kind of exactly the thing that I kind of expect from Double Fine these days. I literally just released a sales video as of today, which included this next game, and that's none other than Evil West. If you're unfamiliar with this one, it kind of launched at a time where AA games weren't all the rage they are now, so this is a real hidden gem. You basically play as a sort of gunslinger freelancer who has to hunt down all manner of beasts, monsters, and supernatural beings. The combat is very Xbox 360-esque, so very dark, gritty, weighty, and so bloody gruesome, but it's also honestly awesome. This is a return to the Xbox Game Pass library as well for this one, and I do highly recommend it. I actually need to dive back into this one myself to pop up that 1000 gamer score, because damn, that hard mode is definitely no joke. The largest game that's obviously releasing in this batch of games today is probably one of the largest releases for this October as well, and that has to be Ninja Gaiden 4. Finally, the time to hack and slash our way through a futuristic Tokyo is almost here, as it will land onto Xbox Game Pass for Ultimate and PC members on the 21st of October. As you can see in the gameplay footage right now, it blends lightning fast combats, brutal combos, and stylish flourishes into something new yet quite familiar. The story will unfold though in a near future Tokyo as I mentioned, but under a dark curse, where a rising ninja prodigy named Yakumo will step into the fray, and of course Ryu is back as well. I will actually have a video out this week providing more of an insight into what we can expect with Ninja Gaiden 4, so make sure to subscribe down below. If you're also interested, take a look at this. I know some of you will be incredibly excited for the next Call of Duty, but whilst my personal preference is certainly going to be Battlefield 6, I will still check it out with this brand new entry later this year. If you've somehow been living under a rock though, the Black Ops 7 beta is still ongoing, and it does end on the 9th of October, as they did extend it for a couple of days. I actually quite enjoyed the gameplay of this one, but I do still think it's a real carbon copy of just Black Ops 6, so if you like that game, you're probably going to like this one. Still, I'm only personally interested in the campaign, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the beta so far in the comments below. Of course, if you are a premium Game Pass member, we do have some lovely titles that are dropping onto your Xbox Game Pass tier this week. You will get access to Eternal Strands, He Is Coming for PC, and also Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. For me, I highly recommend that you dive into Eternal Strands, as this was a brand new IP from a newly formed studio, and somehow they did manage to make a brilliant game that's fused a sort of Shadow the Colossus design with its enemies, but with a bright and whimsical world like we saw in Immortals Phoenix Rising. These are honestly some great games though, and they will be available to you on the 15th of October. It is worth noting that these are already available on Xbox Game Pass if you're an Ultimate member, and you can dive into them right now. Earlier this week, we had an overview of the Xbox October update, and Microsoft did detail 4 new additions to its Retro Classics library following the 7 games that were added in August and September. Although this is a slightly shorter list than what we've kind of become used to with the Xbox Retro Classics that were launched back in May, any new additions are really welcome, especially at no extra cost. Here are the new Xbox Retro Classic titles for September, and these are Space Quest 1, Space Quest 3, Dragonfire, and Quickstep. These are of course some nice little additions to the Xbox Retro Classics collection, but then again, I'm hoping that Microsoft continues to build out this library in the coming months. In case you missed it though, Little Rocket Lab officially arrived as of yesterday, and I reckon this will be one indie gem that you'll want to keep your eye on. This game basically sees you playing as an aspiring engineer who wants to complete their family's dream project in the form of a spaceship. This essentially requires you to build more factories, contraptions, and make relationships with the locals, and so much more. It is currently listed as an Xbox console exclusive, and from what I've played with my short playthrough so far, it reminds me a lot of that insanely addictive loop like we see in games like Stardew Valley. I was also waiting a very long time for SOPA to finally release onto Xbox, and it actually launched as of yesterday as well. If you haven't heard of this one before, it's a touching narrative adventure where you take control of a young boy named Miho. He basically goes off and explores a world of magical realism that's inspired by Latin America, all in search of his stolen potato. I've actually played through this one, and whilst it does clock in about the 4-hour marks, which is pretty short, it's a pretty middling experience as well. I did actually find this one incredibly buggy and visually poor, but the story is quite funny and does have its quirky moments. I will try and get a review out of this one as soon as I can, but it's definitely one that I'm kind of 50-50 on. again. We then also had the fantastic addition of Hogwarts Legacy, and although it rightly got overshadowed by the terrible price increases, it's still worth highlighting as it's a bloody gem of a game. This is an open world action RPG that is set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. You will basically embark on a journey through familiar and also new locations as you explore and discover magical beasts, customize your very own character, craft potions, master spellcasting, upgrade talents, and so much more. For me, the real highlight of this game though is just how well crafted the entire world is, and it's staggering how great Hogwarts looks and also feels. I have seen it climb into one of the most popular games on Game Pass right now, and I fully understand why. It is also worth mentioning, in case you did miss my video covering the Xbox Game Pass changes, that you now have access to the Ubisoft Classic Collection as part of your Ultimate tier subscription. This means that you now have 40 plus games that have dropped onto the service, which does include a ton of Assassin's Creed titles, practically all of the Far Cry games, and that's alongside some lovely indies like Oddballers, Child of Light, and so much more. Of course, I won't cover it as much as you all pretty much know the score by now, and even though they might not be the best titles, it's still a nice little addition for the upgraded price points. Unfortunately though, with it being a brand new Xbox Game Pass news day, it does mean that some games are actually leaving the service on the 15th of October, and there's a couple of good games that you'll definitely want to purchase or play before they leave. The games leaving are Cocoon, Core Keeper, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed. Remember, you do get a discount for buying these games, and you also get some reward points back to use towards other vouchers if you want to purchase any more games to sweeten that deal. How would you rate the Xbox Game Pass games for October so far? You'll have to let me know down below. We do obviously have the likes of the Outer Worlds 2 still coming this month, but we should also get an announcement of even more Game Pass games on the 21st of October, so make sure to subscribe for more Xbox content and so you don't miss out on that video. Whilst you're here though, smash that like button, and why don't you check out the video on screen now. I also put out a video today covering the huge Xbox sale that's dropped as of right now, and it's pretty incredible with the deals on store.